Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, where we're going to be shifting gears a little bit now to the NFL, where we have OTAs currently going on. We have some media sessions, and at one of these media sessions, Justin Fields talked to 93.7 The Fan, who got a quote on his approach headed into this season. He said, quote, "I'm taking it day by day. I'm definitely competing. Russ knows that. We're competing against each other every day. Him being out there for me helps me getting better. I definitely don't have the mindset of just sitting all year. I'm coming in every day, giving it all I've got, pushing him to be his best, and he's pushing me to be my best every day." So definitely not any type of animosity, it sounds like, in that quarterback room. These are two players who are very highly regarded by a handful of NFL fans and have had plenty of expectations put on them through their NFL careers, obviously at different points in their career, but two players who were sort of viewed this offseason, you could tell by the market for them when they were available, that they are a little bit of expired goods and that their best years are behind them and they're not necessarily worth investing all that much into. And now they are playing with one another in Pittsburgh, but obviously when you talk about quarterback versus every other position on the field, there is no splitting snaps. So it is an everyday competition between these two players, and there is obviously a lot of debate as to who should be the starter moving forward. I think that the primary goal for the Steelers headed into next season is going to be having success in the individual season. Obviously, that's not any type of a crazy statement. I more so mean, Justin Fields, I do think still has a potential future in the NFL, but the Steelers are not here at this point to sort of build up what the future of the organization looks like. Mike Tomlin is headed into his final season of his contract, and he is trying to go out there and win. And that goes for the remainder of that roster as well, where this is a win now, figure out the logistics later. They won 10 games last year, and that was with having very, very subpar quarterback play throughout the season. Now, I still feel like a lot of that does fall on the shoulders of Matt Canada, who was their offensive coordinator for the majority of the season. They rightfully did fire him during the course of the year, so they end up completely cleaning house with their quarterback room. Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph all off to different destinations during the course of the offseason. So now it's Wilson and Fields, and like I mentioned, a lot of questions around where these players are at in their career. For Russell Wilson, is he still capable of being a starting winning quarterback, where his time in Denver was definitely not good. And I know that a lot of people are looking back on the numbers of, oh, well, the Broncos ended up winning 8 games. They were in the playoff hunt by the time that the Broncos chose to bench him, but I've talked about this before. I thought they were winning, but not because of Russell Wilson. The defense was putting up an unprecedented turnover differential, which, to be fair, the Steelers have one of the best defenses in the NFL in my eyes, and it's very possible that all they need is somebody who can move the ball some and not turn it over, which is sort of what fits into what Russell Wilson, I think that at his best, could still be. I don't think that he is someone who is still going to be pushing the ball downfield at a, very extreme rate. But if he can just be composed, smart in the pocket, make the right plays, the Steelers can be competitive in that AFC North division once again. Again, the fact that they made the playoffs last year under all of those circumstances, they were, I think, outgained in pretty much all of their games when Matt Canada was their offensive coordinator. They finished with a 10-7 record despite a minus 20 point differential. I mean, all of it together, I think, shows that the Steelers can be in a competitive position here. Now, Justin Fields is somebody who they are not going to be picking up his fifth-year option because it's not worth investing that much money into him at this point. Maybe if they feel they see something really exceptional out of him during these training camps, but I can't really see that happening for them. So Fields is going to play out this year, and it is going to be really interesting to see whether or not he does end up getting an opportunity to step in for Russell Wilson. So just sort of briefly looking at the schedule ahead, it seems like Russell Wilson shouldn't have a problem working his way into this beginning with the Steelers, where they're going to play a Falcons defense that isn't tremendous, Denver, who, like I mentioned, as much as they did play well during Wilson's winning stretch there during the middle of the season, and they did make improvements as the year went on, we know that the overall talent there isn't necessarily tremendous. This is the team that let up 70 points last year. But Chargers, the Colts, as the first four games, I think that Wilson can sort of get his feet wet in this Steelers offense and, try and work themselves into it. The thing is with them is that the second half of the season is basically all divisional games where they don't play a single opponent in their division until week 11, and then from there it is the AFC North gauntlet. And at that point, I do think you're going to have a player in there that can be, a little bit more aggressive at times. And I'm not saying that Russell Wilson can no longer do that altogether, but that does feel like Justin Fields is maybe a little bit, again, the ceiling is higher with him. And for Fields on his side of this equation, I think that it's tough because I've never been a huge fan of him. Going into last season, there was buzz about, could he be a sneaky MVP dark horse? I never saw that with him because I feel like as much as it's very clear that there is talent, there's an athleticism from him. In terms of being able to actually make throws in these big moments, he showed sort of the opposite, that he was unable to do so. And the fumbles and interceptions in the fourth quarter were just so costly for him that I don't know. It's tough because I thought he showed a lot of improvement last year. But again, some of the consistency with his throws and not necessarily being able to come up in those big moments definitely dinged him. So Russell Wilson, in my eyes, is going to be their starter for the majority of, if not the entire season. And it doesn't mean that I'm fully out on Justin Fields and that he couldn't ever find his way back into a starting role. But I just feel like it's sort of tough to imagine the Steelers where they are currently at in terms of trying to be ultra competitive this season and prove that Tomlin is still the coach for the job, that they've had a lot of noise come out of their locker room over the past couple years, that there is a level of professionalism in one of the greatest franchises in the history of the NFL, that they are still in a good place. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section. We have plenty of time to sort of dive into the entirety of this quarterback debate. This will not be the last time we talk about it here on this show. And as things currently stand, I'm leaning with Russell Wilson, but I have not been a Russell Wilson fan whatsoever over the past year or so. So I myself am conflicted, but we are going to be taking our next break here, and when we come back on the other side, want to briefly sort of touch on some of the key stars that are holding out of OTAs through the first couple days as they are looking to get some contract extensions, and which of these players will be the most impactful if they were to miss time. So stick with us, and we will be right back.